Parenting is the most important job we're the least prepared for. And that's not our fault. Access to education is limited, to say the least, and modern society has all but eliminated the village we are all meant to have supporting us. Anxiety, I don't know what I'm doing, is my baby okay, is this supposed to happen? The internet is confusing, I'm getting mixed messages, and isolation, spending hours all day every day with another human, yet feeling so alone and longing for company. Two notions that should never influence parenting, yet plague today's parents, and societal support seems to be going backwards. I don't know about you, but I'm not okay with that. Which is why I'm here. I'm Talisa, and I've been deeply immersed in the world of early childhood education since 2010. What has always been very clear to me is that parents don't need more unsolicited advice, but rather community and ongoing support. In this video, I'll show you the community we're building here and invite you to be a part of it so you can have the support you're looking for too. Here are the 4 components you can expect to see in this video. I'll start by sharing my story and what this work means to me. This is my social justice work. Then I'll give you an overview of what the RIE Educaring Approach is and how it's been helping parents all over the world since its inception in the 70s. And even before then, with its history so closely interwoven with the work of Dr. Emmy Pickler. Yes, as in Pickler Triangle. And then I'll give you a tour of my classroom and talk about the RIE certified classes I offer as a RIE associate, along with additional community resources to support you in whatever stage of parenthood you're in. Whether you're trying for a baby, you're expecting, you're looking for postpartum care and eventually high quality childcare, and so on. And finally, at the end of this video, I'll share next steps along with an exclusive discount code you can apply to any one of my classes, so make sure you watch to the end so you don't miss out. Let's dive in. Welcome to my RIE classroom. If you're watching this video, chances are someone sent it to you, whether that was me or a friend or maybe an employee of yours who wants to show you why they're requesting a more flexible work schedule and what these classes mean to them. Or maybe you found this video on your own. However you got here, I'm grateful and glad you're watching. I'm a millennial trying to break cycles of family trauma. As the oldest of 6, with an age gap wider than that between me and my parents, I've been around babies my whole life. In college, I studied sociology and applied developmental psychology to understand factors that lead to trauma such as divorce, abuse, neglect, all that stuff, and to figure out what to do about it. While interning at UCLA's Children's Centers, I learned about the RIE Educaring Approach and was immediately hooked. The way I was taught to respect a child, even and perhaps especially a newborn infant, was both mind-blowing and life-changing for me. My concept of respect got flipped upside down, as the word respect is often equated with obedience. In many cultures, we're taught to respect your elders, but what people usually mean by that is obey without question. And that's not what we're talking about here. To respect someone means to uphold the dignity of another human being. Can you imagine a world where everyone is treated with respect? So of course, respecting your elders in the true sense of the word is absolutely needed, but so too is respect for those younger than you. To uphold the dignity and to see the humanity in another person, regardless of age, gender, race, sexual orientation, culture, ancestry, any of that, is to make the world better for everyone living in it. So what does respect for an infant look like? It can mean many things, but one aspect that is core to the RIE Educaring Approach is to tell your baby what you're about to do before you do it. I'm gonna pick you up, I'm gonna get a tissue to wipe your nose, I'm gonna change your diaper, and so on. And to wait for your baby to process what you just said so they have a chance to respond. In other words, involving your baby in their caregiving routines rather than doing things to them is one way to show your respect for your baby. Think about it this way. Would you randomly pick up or even touch an adult without asking or telling them first? Probably not, unless they're a sibling you're trying to jump scare. So why would we do that to a baby? Usually it's because we assume they don't understand, or we just don't think to and don't mean anything by it. But this practice of telling your baby what you're about to do can actually be a protective factor for you as the parent or caregiver too, especially if you're actively trying to break cycles, or even just parent as mindfully and intentionally as you can. At a RIE conference years ago, when I was working toward my master's degree in early childhood education, I attended a workshop about the impact the educaring approach can have, in particular on stopping abuse. They told the story of a mother who had violent tendencies and was terrified she'd lose it with her children. Magda Gerber, RIE's founder, told her, don't worry about any of that. Just tell your child what you want to do before you do it. And so she did. I'm getting your bottle ready. I'm going to put you down. I'm going to change your shirt. Then one day she started to feel overwhelmed and started to lose her temper. She was about to say, and now I'm going to throw you against the wall. She broke down. She had this fit of laughter mixed with tears of guilt and relief. She was able to stop herself from acting on her impulse, and therefore her child was safe. By telling our children first what we're about to do, we give ourselves a protective tool to regulate our impulses and to be the parent we want to be. Of course, that doesn't mean we never make mistakes, but it is an incredible protective factor nonetheless. I'd always known I wanted to be a teacher, but the more time I spent in early childhood settings, the more passionate I became about supporting families right from the start, so that cycles of family trauma could be prevented as much as possible. I finished my master's degree at LMU and was an infant toddler teacher and site supervisor at the LMU Children's Center for 10 years. I took the RIE Foundations class in 2015 with Ruth Ann Hammond and began the pathway to becoming a RIE associate so I could share this work in this way too. During the pandemic shutdown, I wrote my first book, Parenting Compass for Navigating the Early Childhood Years, and recorded it as an audiobook myself to make it as accessible to busy parents as possible. In 2024, I became certified as a RIE associate, and in the summer of 2025, I opened my very own RIE classroom here in the Culver City, Baldwin Hills area in Los Angeles. So what is RIE, and what are RIE classes? RIE itself stands for Resources for Infant Educarers, and is a nonprofit organization whose aim is to teach Magda Gerber's Educaring Approach to parents and professionals working with infants and toddlers. The term educaring, coined by Magda Gerber, implies that education and caregiving go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. Children learn so much through their caregiving routines, language, what a gentle touch feels like, what respect feels like, how to take care of themselves and others. There's a lot that happens during a diaper change, for example, and a lot of learning can be missed when the child is distracted rather than engaged in the routine. And this leads us to the educaring principles. So come with me and I'll show you the giant RIE poster my hubby and I made and put up in the hallway entry of my classroom, and I'll show you around. And here we are. So I'll send you a welcome packet, which will include the links to all this stuff so you can do deep dives into all these things. And I'll just give you an overview for now. Over here we have the RIE Educaring Approach, which outlines the principles, 7 basic principles of educaring. And here, I'll quote Magda, "We not only respect babies, we demonstrate our respect every time we interact with them. Respecting a child means treating even the youngest infant as a human being, not an object." So those are the 7 basic principles, and one I'll point out in particular is infant-infant interaction. And the reason that one's my favorite is because that is really central to what we're trying to do, and that is to help humans treat each other with respect. And so with infant-infant interaction, there's a lot of the ways that we support these interactions is in tune with the child to help them build skills of empathy, recognize their own emotions and that of others, and understand what to do when conflict arises and figure it out, and build the skills to regulate and effectively resolve conflicts. And that's a really empowering way to do so. And the reason it's so important for me is because the world needs to figure out how to get along. Moving on to the origins of RIE. I mentioned earlier that RIE has history interwoven with Dr. Emmy Pickler. So during the Hungarian Revolution, Dr. Pickler was tasked with essentially caring for orphaned babies and children. And normally when we think of an orphanage, we think of horror stories, but the children who went through the Pickler Institute were so well adapted in every way imaginable. And that was just unheard of. And so, of course, that drew a lot of attention. The Pickler Institute still exists today, not as an orphanage, but as an early childhood education center. And Magda Gerber was a parent who met Dr. Pickler through Magda's daughter, who was ill at the time, and so on. And that's where Magda soaked up all of these ideas to respect humans right from the start. Fast forward to when Magda Gerber and her family moved to the US, she brought a lot of these ideas with her, this idea of respecting children, and of course gave her own take on things, and founded RIE with Dr. Tom Forrest in the 70s. So growing up RIE's been around for a while now, and as such there have been a lot of long-term studies, and there is evidence to support the long-term outcomes of this respect-based approach, respecting humans from the get-go, and what that can mean for parent-child relationship, for the child's adaptability, for their self-confidence, anything. And in particular, there's this one podcast from my colleague Melissa Coine, another RIE associate, where she and her daughters, who at this point are young adults, where they talk about their relationship through the teenage years. And normally when we think of especially mother-daughter relationship during the teenage years, it's often sort of contentious and everything, but that was not at all the case for them, and how beautiful that was. So lots of really great outcomes. And then we'll shift into the RIE classes themselves. So we have Intro to Educaring, which is really open for anybody, and it's a quick 3-hour introductory course that gives this overview. Before Baby for anyone who's expecting, and I'll get back to that because that's the key one. Nurturing Nanny, which is a professional development course for caregivers. And then RIE Foundations. And so this one is for anyone who's looking to dive deeper into this approach, whether you're a professional or a parent or both. And this is like, it's usually either a semester-long class or like a 2-week intensive kind of thing. But yeah, RIE Foundations is where you dive in deeper. And then we have Parent-Infant Guidance, which is RIE's signature class and why I opened up this space. So RIE Parent-Infant Guidance classes are the core of what we do. And they meet once a week, they're cohorted, and so this is really the village. You're going to be grouped with other parents with similar age children, and we meet once a week for an hour and a half or so and have this beautiful experience together. You can start as young as 3 months old, you can start a little bit later, you can start at 1 or even 2. Generally the cohorts stay together until the youngest kid in the cohort group turns 2. But some cohorts do tend to choose to continue past that, so it's really up to the group when the group is ready to graduate and move on and fly away. But even if they fly away, I have, and I'll show you over here, my community resources stuff. This is something that I just offer as a community hangout, is continuing to expand that village. And so once a month I host RIE family hangouts here in my space. I'm in a huge space. This is one part of it, so there's lots of other spaces to gather. And yeah, this is really just the community building side of things, and I'd be happy to welcome anyone and everyone who wants to be part of it, just families hanging out. So that happens once a month. And then all the rest of this really is just, like I said, like the village continuing to build and support each other. And so these are a lot of local or virtual organizations or services or vetted products that are all meant to support parenthood, early parenthood, whether you're looking to, if you need fertility support, you are expecting, and pregnancy care or postpartum care and so on, all kinds of different stuff, and eventually early childhood education and childcare and high quality stuff. And so this is all of that good stuff coming together to support the village. This village that we really desperately need back in our lives. So now we'll move on to the classroom tour. So come with me. A lot of the things in this classroom were handmade, so there's a lot of personal touches here. My mom and I made these draperies because fluorescent lights are awful, especially if you're a tiny baby lying on the floor looking up at the lights. So we did that to soften the lights a little bit. My husband and I poured a lot of time and effort and love into this classroom, including customizing all the flooring stuff. It's a little squishy floor, and lots of different things. So equipment-wise, I've got a climbing ladder over here, and I also have an attachment with rings that the toddlers like to hang on and build grip strength and stuff. Behind that door, I've got more of my toddler climbing equipment, like my pickler triangle and other things. Over here, this is my infant texture blanket. So I've been making these kinds of things for years and years and years and years and years and years. Sewing is something that my mom and I would do together a lot growing up, and so bringing that into the classroom, so there's a lot of different textures for the infants to feel and explore. My tiny babies especially love the fringe. And yeah, more things around. My grandma made this cross stitch of these birds, and my great grandma made a lot of these rugs that you'll see up around the wall, both to quiet the echo in here and also just to, again, bring a personal touch into the classroom. So I'll also show you the toys over here. I set up different things for each parent-infant guidance group depending on the ages and stages of the children. So what I set up for my 3 to 6 month old is going to be different for my toddlers and the 2-year-olds and stuff like that. Here's my snack stuff. So I do a snack time during parent-infant guidance classes for the older kiddos when they're ready. And we use real glassware, so cups for water or tea, and then the older kiddos figure out pouring. So lots of great stuff there. And then all of the toys. So a little sneak peek into all my goodies. And in the welcome packet I mentioned, I'll also include a RIE toy guide put together by a colleague of mine and another RIE associate, Christina Blinder, who's based in the Bay Area. So just a little bit of a preview. A lot of this is well, entirely very intentional. So for example, this might look like a deflating beach ball, but is actually intentionally not fully inflated so that tiny little hands can grip it and explore and see through it and all kinds of fun stuff. I also have this giant observation window, which is great for parents who want to come and observe a class before committing to anything. So if that's something you want to do, just let me know and we'll set something up. And also for professional development. So one aspect that is core to the RIE Foundations class is observations of parent-infant guidance. And so this provides opportunity for that. And also for professional development of other kinds, such as for nannies or childcare providers of any kind looking for opportunities to observe and gain more professional development. So this is pretty great. And here we are. Next steps from here are to book a 30-minute free consult with me. See my Calendly link in the description below, and then to enroll. In our video call, we'll get to know each other. You can tell me more about what you're looking for, and I can talk you through my enrollment form for whichever class you're interested in. We'll also go over pricing for the classes. My aim is to do this work equitably and sustainably. For parent-infant guidance, there is a sliding scale. So, community-provided scholarship fund is available for those who need it, and for those who want to pay into it to help give access to others. Thank you for watching. In the beginning of this video, I mentioned I'd share an exclusive discount code you can use to apply to any of my classes I offer. So as promised, when you fill out my enrollment form, which I'll send to you during or after our call, use the discount code RESPECTBABIES for a 10% discount off your first month of parent-infant guidance classes with me, or 5% off any of the other classes I offer. Discount only applies once. So go ahead and book a call with me. I'll see you soon. Welcome to our growing village.